Welcome or welcome back to Mia's Life with Books. Today I thought it would be fun to talk about all of the 5-star predictions I have on my TBR. So this is including my physical TBR and also my Kindle TBR. I've also split it by genre. So first we've got fantasy, and then we've also got romance / general fiction and thriller. And as we make our way through those categories, the numbers dwindle a lot. And I think that's because for fantasies, I find it a lot easier to predict 5 stars, because I feel like with romance and with thriller, sometimes it can be a bit more hit or miss. I find that I tend to give less romance and thriller books 5 stars, and I think it takes a bit more with those books for me to really feel impressed enough, I suppose, to give those genres 5 stars. Although with fantasy, obviously I still need to get that 5-star feeling, but I do find that feeling happens more often with fantasies. So I think that's why there are so many more 5-star predictions for the fantasy books. I just find it really fun to predict whether I'm going to give a book 5 stars or not. I feel like a lot of the time I am kind of right. I've done a few 5-star prediction videos on my booktok in the past, and with those it has been a bit of a mixed bag, but a lot of the time I would say they do end up either being 5 stars or like 4.5 stars. But either way, I do think I've got a pretty good handle on what my taste is and what I think I enjoy. So I think I know my taste pretty well anyway, so even if none of these books do end up being 5 stars, which I don't think will happen because some of them will probably be 5 stars, I'm still gonna absolutely love them, or at least most of them I will hopefully love. But anyway, I think we should just get into it because I do have a lot of books to talk about. And obviously if you have seen my videos before, you will know I don't really read blurbs before going into books. So when I'm talking about these books, this is purely based on vibes and the little bits I do know about these books. Let's just get started with the fantasy 5-star predictions first. So I'm actually going to pair these first two together, and that's because the reason why I think they're going to be 5-star predictions is for the same reason, and that is because of the author. Those books are Foul Heart Huntsman and Immortal Longings, both by Chloe Gong. I gave Foul Lady Fortune, which is the first book in this duology, 4.5 stars, so obviously the second book definitely has a high potential to be a 5-star, and of the 4 Chloe Gong books I have read so far, 3 of them have been 5 stars. I think that's also why Immortal Longings could be that 5-star, or it might even be Vilest Things, which is the second book in this trilogy. So sometimes when I'm going to be talking about fantasy series, even though I'm only mentioning the first book, it could be that I think at some point in that series there is going to be a 5-star, not necessarily just the first book, if that makes sense. But either way, I absolutely love Chloe Gong, and I actually went to an event last night for Cold Wire, which was a 5-star for me. I got to meet her and have my book signed, and that was so much fun. But yeah, I definitely have high hopes for these ones. Then I have Legendborn by Tracy Deonn. This is another one where it might not be the first book, but at some point in this series I'm anticipating a 5-star, and that is just because everyone has good things to say about this series, and it's one of those ones that I have been so excited to read for the longest time, and I don't know why I haven't picked it up yet. But I just think from everything that I have heard about this, more so just in people's enjoyments instead of specific plot details, like I think it's kind of inspired by King Arthur or something, which doesn't necessarily fully interest me in the way certain other retellings or inspirations might, but I think it's just more so the reaction to this series that makes me think I will have a similar reaction, if that makes sense. Then we have This Woven Kingdom. I will be reading this first book very, very soon because it is on my 25 books to read in 2025 list, so I need to get that done this year. And again, it might not be the first book, but because there's 4 books out already, I've got a feeling one of them must be 5 stars. I do feel like this is slightly underrated when compared to Shatter Me, which is also by this author, but I also feel like this series would be a lot more up my alley compared to Shatter Me. That's why I'm going to read these ones first, and I really do have faith that there will be a 5-star somewhere in there. Then we have Heavenly Bodies. I do not know why I have not picked this one up. I've had it on my Kindle for so long, and it was one of those books that I was absolutely dying to read when it first kind of got popular, and once I got it I just kind of forgot about it, I guess, or it's always in the back of my mind, but it's just not one that I have picked up, and that definitely needs to change because I do think it's definitely 5-star potential. I think there's some things going on with like celestial vibes, which I think kind of fits the kind of whimsical fantasy aspect that I like, and I've heard there's a lot of yearning maybe in this one, which is also always fun, and I just think it's just giving those 5-star vibes. I think it's something that will tick a lot of boxes in terms of what I like in fantasy books, and again I've heard lots of positive things about it, so I need to get reading it. Then I have Wisteria by Adeline Grace. This is the third book in the Belladonna trilogy. The first two books have been 4.5 stars, so I'm hoping this final book will finally give me that 5-star that I've been waiting for with this series. If not, it will definitely probably still be 4.5 like it has been for the rest of the series. I love this series so much, and because I'm so connected to the characters now, having spent 2 books with them, I think it'll be easy for me to get that 5-star feeling with this one, and I'm hoping I do, because I would absolutely love to have a 5-star in this series, because I would say it is one of my favourite fantasy series, even though I haven't had a 5-star yet in it. I always say it's the perfect blend of gothic fantasy, mystery and romance, although I have heard this third one has a bit less of the mystery aspect to it. I don't think that will hinder my enjoyment, especially because I've grown to care for all the characters and the setting and everything so much anyway. Yeah, really hoping for a 5-star with this one. Then I have Immortal Consequences by Ivy Marie. The idea of this intrigues me so much. I think it's some kind of afterlife situation where they're at like this, I suppose, dark academia maybe setting, like magic school setting, where they have to fight for a place in the afterlife. That's kind of what I've got, so that sounds intriguing. And again, it's just one of those ones that I just have those vibes. I can't explain it, but I just feel like this is a very strong 5-star contender, and it's one that I really want to read very, very soon, so hopefully I can get around to it soon. Yeah, I just got good feelings about this one. Then we have Wild Reverence by Rebecca Ross. The Divine Rivals duology is one of my absolute favourite fantasy duologies of all time. Divine Rivals was a 5-star and Ruthless Vows was a 4.5 star. So it makes sense that Wild Reverence, kind of a prequel, this duology would also be a 5-star, and I've only heard amazing things about this one as well, and I just love Rebecca Ross's writing style and the world that she's already created in the Letters of Enchantment duology. I think seeing more of that world and the backstory to that world would be really interesting and definitely give 5-star vibes. Then I have Daughter of the Moon Goddess by Su Lin Tan. This is that typical whimsical magical fantasy that's inspired by mythology, I'm pretty sure Asian mythology, which I always have a great track record with. Books that are kind of that whimsical mythology inspired vibe always end up being very highly rated for me, so I have high hopes for this one just because I know I've enjoyed books like it in the past. I have another 2 that I'm going to group together, and that is A Darker Shade of Magic and Bury Our Bones in the Midnight Soil, both by V. Schwab. The Invisible Life of Addie LaRue is probably one of my all-time favourite books. Well, not probably, it is one of my all-time favourite books. I think I read it almost 3 years ago now, back in 2022, and still to this day it's one of the first books that jumps into my mind when people ask me what my favourite books are. I've also read Gallant by V. Schwab, which I think was only a 4-star, but I still really enjoyed it. And I just think, again, with this being a trilogy, there's obviously chance for, even if the first book isn't a 5-star, there's chance to build up to that 5-star. And I think Bury Our Bones, I've seen so many 5-star ratings of, and I know I already love V. Schwab's writing and world building and characters and everything like that. So I think, again, it just makes sense that there will be a 5-star somewhere here. Then we have The House in the Cerulean Sea by TJ Klune. Again, I don't know why I still haven't picked this one up. I've had this since my birthday, I'm pretty sure, which was back in May, and it's been one that's been at the top of my priority TBR since then, and for some reason I still haven't picked it up, but I need to pick it up very, very soon because I really do believe this will be a 5-star, and I've said from the beginning I think this will be a 5-star prediction, and I just need to get my ass into gear and read it and give it a 5-star because I'm that confident in it. Then we have the rest of the Prison Healer trilogy by Lynette Noni, so The Gilded Cage and The Blood Traitor. I've read the first one, The Prison Healer. I gave that one 4 stars, but I can definitely see that there is potential to get a 5-star in this trilogy. I think it was a great opener, a great beginning of a trilogy. Like I said, that does have that potential because I really care about the characters. I really enjoyed the setting that we had, and I'm excited to see that expand as we go through the series. So I definitely think the 5-star is imminent with this trilogy. Then we have Voyage of the Damned by Frances White. This is a very underrated book. I haven't heard anyone really speaking about it, but this is essentially a fantasy book. However, it is like a murder mystery in a fantasy setting. So it is a fantasy book, but it has those thriller murder mystery vibes, which I really enjoy. And I think having that kind of mystery in a fantasy setting always works so well. Similar to with Belladonna, I think I absolutely obviously loved that series. If it's giving kind of similar vibes in the sense of the merging of those kind of genres, I think this could work really well and would be something right up my street and something that I would give a strong 5 stars to. So I definitely have faith with this one. And this is another one that I have been waiting to read for the longest time and still haven't picked up. Can you sense the theme here? Lastly, I have chosen Six of Crows by Leigh Bardugo. I have currently only read Shadow and Bone, the first book in the Grishaverse universe, and while I think there could be a 5-star potential maybe in the later books in that trilogy, I think if there isn't a 5-star there, I think because I I've read and still very much enjoyed those books, or I'm sure I will continue to enjoy that trilogy. I think that sets up a very good basis and foundation to go into this duology and to get a 5-star in this duology, especially because this duology is the one that everyone says is their favourite and like some of their favourite fantasy books ever, not just in the Grishaverse. So I have very high expectations for this duology and I don't think I'm going to be disappointed. So I am expecting a 5-star from there. But obviously first I do have to complete the Shadow and Bone trilogy, which I am excited to do. I think it's going to be a good one. So those were all of my 5-star predictions for the fantasy books that I have on my TBR. So now we're going to go into the romance, and for romance I actually only have 5 picks. There are a couple others that I was kind of thinking, this could be a 5-star, but again, because I feel like sometimes romance can be a bit hit or miss, I wasn't 100% confident in those, so I kind of left some of them behind. And for example, some of those were like books by Lynn Painter, who is one of my favourite authors, but because I haven't heard best things about some of her adult novels, I have read one before of her adult ones, which was a 5-star, so I am still excited to get to her other adult novels, but because I haven't heard the best things, I'm like, I'm sure I'm gonna love them, but I'm not sure they'll end up being 5 stars the way that a lot of her YA books are for me, if that makes sense. There are a couple of authors like that where it's like, I know I'm gonna love it a lot, but I'm not sure if it will get that 5-star. But these 5 I'm pretty confident will get 5 stars, or will be the most likely to get 5 stars out of my whole romance TBR. So firstly, we have Good Spirits by BK Borson, which I will be reading in December because it is a Christmas book and I kind of need a bit of a Christmas romance in December. First Time Caller is the only book that I have read by BK Borson, but it was one of my favourite romances of this year and I gave it 5 stars. So I'm hoping those vibes carry on and this is a 5-star. I've never really felt interested to read the Love Light Farms series by BK Borson, as I've heard more mixed things about that, and for some reason I just feel like I won't gel as much with that series as I did with First Time Caller. But I think Good Spirits in my head is giving me closer feelings and vibes to First Time Caller compared to that series. I'm thinking this is a strong contender for a 5-star, and I think either way it's going to be such a fun book to read around Christmas time. Then we have Love and Other Words by Christina Lauren, which I feel like is such a classic. I can't believe I haven't read it yet. I'm pretty sure this is a second chance romance, which I absolutely do adore a second chance romance, and obviously this is very popular for a reason. I think a lot of people give this one 5 stars, so I'm hoping I won't be disappointed. But I have enjoyed Christina Lauren's books I have read in the past. I'm not sure if any of them have been 5 stars. I don't think I've read that many of them, but from the ones I have read, I know I have really enjoyed them. And I think because this, like I said, is such a popular one, I think out of all the Christina Lauren books I do have on my TBR, I think this is the one that's going to be closest to a 5-star. Then we have The Rom-Commers by Catherine Center. I've only read The Bodyguard by Catherine Center, but that was a 5-star read for me. I absolutely loved it, and I've been dying to pick up a Catherine Center book since. So I also have Hello Stranger to read as well, and out of the two of those, I thought this one is probably going to be closer to a 5-star, as I've heard more positive things about this one compared to Hello Stranger. So that kind of swayed my opinion a little bit more towards this one. I'm hoping to buddy read this one with Harriet, one of my friends on BookTok. We've actually been speaking about buddy reading this one for months and we haven't got around to it, but hopefully we will one day. I definitely have positive feelings about this prediction, as I know I do love Catherine Center's writing, and I think this one just sounds so much fun. Then we have Atmosphere by Taylor Jenkins Reid. Every single book I have read from Taylor Jenkins Reid has been a 5-star, so I think that speaks for itself really. I mean, I also have 2 other Taylor Jenkins Reid books on my TBR, which is After I Do and Maybe in Another Life, so those 2 could also probably be included in this list, because I think those 2 will probably end up being 5 stars too, because there's just something about Taylor Jenkins Reid's writing that I absolutely adore, and she is just one of my favourite authors of all time. And yeah, every single one of her books has been a 5-star for me so far, so I think I would be more shocked if it wasn't a 5-star, and I think in my head it's just kind of a given that it will be a 5-star. So this is another one that I kind of need to read soon, because I need a bit more of Taylor Jenkins Reid in my life right now. Lastly, for the romance, I've gone with What If I Never Get Over You by Page 2. I haven't heard as many raving 5-star reviews about this one as I had 7 Summers by Page 2, which was also a 5-star prediction for me. However, that 5-star prediction was correct. It was accurate. I did give 7 Summers a 5-star, and I absolutely love that book so much. It destroyed me, and I think about it a lot. I think if Page 2 can deliver a story that impacts me as much as 7 Summers did, I think this could be a shoo-in for a 5-star, and I think, again, it kind of makes sense that this would also be a 5-star. However, I'm not as confident on this one as I was with 7 Summers, because like I said, I haven't heard as many raving 5-star reviews, but obviously I do know know Paige Toon's books, i.e. the only one I've read, Seven Summers, did have the potential to give me 5 stars, so I think this one does as well. Now we're moving on to the thriller books, and I actually only have 3 for this one. Again, there were a lot of books that I was umming and ahhing about because I'm like, I know I'm gonna love a lot of these, but I wasn't quite sure if they would give me 5-star feelings, because especially for thrillers, I find it so hard to predict, because I think again with thrillers, they're very hit or miss in terms of getting 5 stars, because there are a lot of thriller books that I absolutely love, and some of my favourite thriller books and favourite thriller authors that I just haven't even given 5 stars to. For example, Alice Feeney, I've read every single one of her books, I've loved almost all of them, and yet I haven't rated one 5 stars yet, but she is one of my favourite authors. If one of my favourite thriller authors hasn't quite given me the 5-star feeling yet, it's kind of hard for me to predict if other thrillers will give me 5-star feelings, just because I know it takes a lot for me to rate a thriller 5 stars. I feel a lot of them get stuck around the 4.5 star mark, and I'm not quite sure why, because I absolutely love thrillers. They are one of my favourite genres. I don't know if it is because I've read so many a bit harder for that to be pushed to 5-star, because I feel like with fantasy books there's a lot more you can kind of do to differentiate between different books, and things can still feel quite unique and different, whereas I think with sometimes thrillers there's more cause for it to be a bit more similar, maybe. I'm not sure, but I absolutely love my thrillers, and I wish I could have more 5-star feelings for thrillers, but for some reason they just don't come as easily. That being said, I have had some very good 5-star thrillers. They're just not as common as the other genres. I have chosen 3 that I think have the strongest chance of being 5 stars, and the first of those is Monday's Not Coming by Tiffany D. Jackson. This is one that I have heard amazing things about, and I think it's one that will almost have a bit of a deeper, more impactful kind of plot going on. Like, I feel like it's going to be a lot more than just your basic mystery thriller. And this is also one that I've actually wanted to read for years, and I've only recently just got it on my Kindle. So I think because the hype for this one in my head has been building for years and years, I can't see it being anything less than a 5-star. So this is, I would say, is the one that I've got the most confidence with in terms of thrillers for a 5-star. Then we have The Wasp Trap by Mark Edwards. I have read 2 Mark Edwards books previously, and they were both 4.5 stars. So I've obviously loved them both very much, and this one sounds like a lot of fun. I think it's something like a load of people or friends get invited to a dinner party and one of them isn't gonna make it out alive kind of thing. It's something like that, but it's that like dinner party kind of secluded, everyone gets invited kind of situation, which I always think is really fun, and I do really enjoy that. And I already know I do love Mark Edwards thrillers and his writing, so I think this is a solid chance of a 5-star, because I already have that basis love for his work, and I think the natural progression from 2 4.5 stars is a 5-star, so fingers crossed. Lastly, I have I Let You Go by Claire Mackintosh. This is such a popular classic kind of thriller book, and I think again it's got a bit more of an emotional impact from what I've heard, which I think can make me feel a lot more connected to a thriller and more likely to therefore rate it higher, because if I feel really connected and invested, obviously that's naturally going to boost my enjoyment, it's going to boost how much I care about the book and everything. So I think if it has got that emotional kind of aspect to it, that can grip me in a lot easier. I think there's a good chance for this one, and I have heard so many good things about it. I think it is probably a popular classic book for a reason. Also, this was gifted to me by my friend Mads, Hazel Sage Books, and I'm pretty sure it's one of her favourites. So we have quite similar tastes, and I trust her recommendations, so I think this is a good one for a 5-star. So overall, those were all the 5-star predictions I have on my TBR. Just because I haven't said certain books on my TBR are a 5-star prediction, that doesn't mean they're gonna then not end up being 5 stars. Like, there could be some books hiding on my TBR that I haven't thought of as 5-star predictions, but might end up being some of my favourite books ever. It's very possible, obviously, that these ones might not necessarily be the only 5 stars, or there might be other ones that I enjoy even more than these ones. So it'll be very interesting to obviously see if my predictions come true. I think I'll be doing a 5-star predictions vlog soon, where I can choose from all of these books. It will be interesting to see if these predictions are correct. Thank you so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, please do give it a like, and maybe comment below a book that you think is a 5-star prediction for you. If you want to see more videos like this, and possibly see my 5-star predictions reading vlog, please do subscribe. It would mean the world to me, and hopefully I will see you in the next video.